morning, everyone. Welcome to the Stock Market Morning Prep video for Tuesday, May 27th. I'm sending this video out on Saturday so you guys can take a look at it. Giving you my thoughts on the market and what I am seeing. Had a few emails that saying that they're so confused. Market keeps going higher, no volume, yada, yada, yada. So I just wanted to get this out and let you know what my thoughts are. And also to warn you, to say, hey, I am not, don't believe the hype here, guys. This market right now is telling us something totally different. As a professional, I would not be buying the breakout. And what I mean by that is that we're looking at a 1900 breakout in ES and looking for extensions at 1916, 1918, which is really only 16 points, which we can do on Tuesday morning. Do you buy the breakout? The answer is absolutely not. You do not buy the breakout. You wait until this market either realigns itself, or you buy stocks within the trend. The trend is higher, but buy stocks that have made its move lower and is now basing, like the solar stocks are starting to base. They're not ready yet, but the solar stocks are starting to base. And if the market were to go higher, I would be looking at longs in the solar space, maybe some of the bank space, some of the builders. We had some good housing numbers on Thursday and Friday, and that's what I would be doing. Now, again, there was really no long trade set up in the three spaces that I just mentioned, but they will be for next week if the market wants to continue to go higher. So that is what I'm looking for, and you have to be extremely patient right now. There's going to be huge opportunity, and the market is made to fool the masses, right? Have you heard me say that many times? And it is so true, because everybody is bullish. Everybody is long this market right now, and long at these levels of these extensions. I would not, as a professional, be looking to get long or adding to longs up here at these extensions. We've been up here for, I believe, pretty much most of 2014, if you want to even bring it in closer, for the last probably 12 weeks of trading. Okay, and the market just kind of refuses to go down, and that's fine. So as a trend trader, we stick to the trend, right? The trend is your friend, they say. So, but don't buy stocks that are extended or have made a 20-30% move already in the last 5 or 6 trading days. Look for stocks that have bases, and look to get in on the entries in the intraday charts. Now, they are far and few in between, so you'll be probably waiting longer than trading, but that's fine. If you can endure that patience and waiting game, it's going to reward you. Okay, so let the markets realign itself. There's a lot of red flags here, guys, and when I say this, because I see a lot of people. They're going to get hurt. And I mean, traders, investors, market participants in general. A lot of the so-called, let's say, retail crowd, there's extreme complacency, and you can see that by the VIX that just broke 12. Now, when that does happen, and I'm going to show that to you in the charts too as well, you'll see that the markets usually catch everybody by surprise. Now, again, I do think we need some sort of a negative catalyst to push this market much lower. But I will tell you, I see willing sellers at these areas, and if we get a big push up on Tuesday morning, I think that you're going to see a reversal again, like we had. We had a good maybe 5 or 6 reversals within that 2-week time frame. So let me show you what I'm seeing. And again, I am not calling for a market crash. Please make sure you guys understand that. I'm just telling you that I think we're headed lower. Everything is telling me that we're headed lower, and if we're not, I just can't buy this market up here at these lofty levels, because what's happened is that stocks aren't moving, the indexes are moving, and the big index that's moving is the transports, and I would be looking to short the transportation sector right now. Of course, you don't want to get a trigger, but that's going to be one of my indexes that I'm going to be looking for next week for clues of weakness to look to short. So why do I think that the markets aren't doing anything? Well, look at the stocks above the 50-day moving average. Yeah, it's above 50, right? And it's been above 50 all of 2013 and pretty much of well, at least a good part of 2012, but all of 13, and now we're in 14 here. But if we are making all-time highs, shouldn't stocks make all-time highs too, or at least a good percentage of them that are above their 50-day moving average? This is not the case, okay? So let's take a look at Stocks above the 200-day moving average. Stocks above the 200-day moving average still trending lower, making lower lows and lower highs. Again, shouldn't stocks above the 200-day moving average be at their highs, somewhere around the 440, 460? Sure, but it's not, okay? So that's telling me stocks aren't moving. Yeah, there are a handful of growth stocks, high beta names that made 20, 30% moves, if that's your thing, you know, and there are a handful of them. There's not much. There are a handful of them. Take a look at stocks, and I showed you this index before, new highs, new lows. New York Stock Exchange, new 52-week highs. Shouldn't that be up, at least breaking out of this downtrend? No. We made lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, and you can see accordingly while the S&P continues to go higher. So the breadth, if you will, is not, the breadth of the market is not telling us, or let's say validating this move higher. Volume is not validating this move higher. I am a skeptic of this push, this last 4 or 5 day move up. So that's why I am, as a market technician, I want to get this out to you to use caution. That's all. I'm not telling you to go short the market right this second. There will be an opportunity to short this market, and you're going to have your trigger based on your plan, okay? But what I am saying is do not get aggressive buying a breakout at these levels, okay? Now let's go into the index. Okay, what's the other clue? Is bonds. Now, yes, bonds were the volume was weak in bonds, but if you looked at it, the majority of the volume on bonds in the 30-year bond future was normal. Obviously, Friday was a holiday, going into a holiday weekend, so it's going to be that. But what happened? We rallied, and why did bonds close 16 ticks higher? Right? That's not a good sign. Okay, and I told you on this head and shoulders pattern, I'm looking at the 1272, the first target, and I honestly think that we'll get to the 1618. So bonds are telling us a different story. I also think that bonds are starting or in a big short squeeze, okay? That if that happens, then bonds really start to tick higher. We have the retail crowd extremely short bonds, okay? The retail, the speculative crowd, which is really they call dumb money. And that you can see that on the commitment of traders reports that come out every week. And you can see that. And by seeing that, this all makes sense to me that I think bonds are in the short squeeze. And when that happens, money's going to rotate out of equities and go into bonds. Okay, and of course these safe haven sectors. Now the yen. This is another reason why the markets had a little bit of a boost, because we had weakness in the yen because the Bank of Japan was kind of talking down their currency. So this to me is just a bunch of words. And I think that this thing reverts and goes back higher. Now, it could fall out of bed. It obviously can, right? I mean, we don't know. No one knows what the yen's going to do, or anything else for that matter, what the market does. But just keep this in mind, all right? So I don't think this is anything other than a little blip, and I think that it holds the 50 and starts to go back up again. Now, obviously, if you have the yen moving higher and takes out this cluster and the 200-day moving average, you're really going to have an extreme amount of weakness in equities, okay? Now, here's another thing, is the VIX. The VIX held 12 for all of 2013 and bounced hard. Now, what concerns me is, and remember, I love to see the market long, and I love it because it's much easier to buy stocks on pullbacks than it is to short stocks. Okay, but however, when you're shorting stocks, you get rewarded a little bit quicker. But it's much harder to short stocks, especially in this type of environment. So I love to buy the market. But the markets are extremely, extremely overbought. They're overvalued, or I should say, let's say they're even fairly valued. It's just not prudent, if you will, to buy the market with these extreme complacency here. And we just broke 12, and now we're outside of this Bollinger Band. So I think if you get a pop-up on Tuesday morning and we open outside that band, I would suspect that the market comes in next week, at least for a few days, and then let's see what happens. You got to take this market one day at a time. But this, to me, is a warning sign. As a contrarian, we have extreme complacency here, and it's been, gosh, over a couple of years that I've seen the VIX down below 12. Okay, so that's another argument for my case. The other one is this: obviously, no volume. We talked about this already, and we took out the 1272 extension. So easily, if we're only 18 handles, less than 18 handles away to hit this 1618 extension, which I think we could do on Tuesday, and I really do think. But I would not buy the market. I would not buy the breakout. That's me, because I think the market fails at these levels, and I think you'll see sellers start to come back in again. Remember, the buying protection, buying as the VIX is slow, is very, very cheap, and I would definitely do so if you're heavily long in your book, in your account. Next is crude oil, right? Why am I showing you crude oil? Well, if the transports, and let me just get this out of the way, and let me see where I have the transport. Here we go. Here is the transports, and that's coming up right now, making new highs. Okay, we have crude oil also ready to break out at 104. Do you think this bodes well for transportation stocks? No, but they don't care, right? The algorithms just continue to probe and push these markets continue to go higher. I would use a word of caution. That's why I was showing you crude oil. Now let's go back to the transports. Every time when you get way away from the moving averages, what happens? Boom, they sell off. New highs, boom, they sell off. I would be looking to short the IYT next week. Of course, the guys, not while the market's going up. We want a reversal candle. Look at the volume, how anemic this volume was. There was no volume on this move up. Pretty much most of April and all of May so far. No volume. And we have this big bearish rise in wedge. I would be looking to short the transportation sector, whether you do it via options or stock, whatever is in your plan, because this is not sustainable. It's just not sustainable, okay? And with low volume, gets me even better looking to short this sector. Or dial into the ETF and pick a few stocks in the transportation sector that you would think is a good short setup. But definitely the transportation sector I'm looking for next week. Now the Dow Jones, as you can see, we had a big move lower, and then we have now 3 days back up again, and testing this little horizontal resistance area. But again, on low volume. Okay, so the big picture here is that we have the transportation sector running higher and everything else starting to move a little higher as well. But we have crude oil. Remember what I just showed you, okay? Russell 2000 recovered nicely off the lows here, as you can see. And this was the area that I was looking for a break to confirm for continued selling. It got back above the 200 SMA, and now it's just sitting underneath the 50-day moving average. Does this look like a bullish chart? Absolutely not. One of our leaders are breaking down, and that's something that's a major concern of mine, that one of the leaders are breaking down. Now, you have the others, such as the ES holding up well, and of course the Dow doing okay, and then the Qs were breaking down, was my last chart here. Now, it actually rallied for a few days. Does this look like a bearish chart anymore? No, not really. Do I want to short it? No, I wouldn't short it, but I wouldn't buy it either, okay? I put some Fibonacci targets on here for the 1272, because it took a high to low from here. And if this wants to go higher, this is the first target I'd be looking at, aside from the new highs. I'm sure that it would probably challenge the highs here and then see what happens from there. But look at the volume. Volume is really, really low. Bottom line, quick recap. I'm skeptical of this move higher. Am I looking to short the market right now? No. I will buy stocks that have created bases that have already sold off, such as the solar sector, the banks, and of course some of the builders coming out with some good earnings. You can look into that, and for a trade setup, and even some of the retail has been really kind of crushed here of late, and I think that would give you an opportunity. Now, it really didn't give us much of opportunity the latter part of the week, Thursday, Friday, because we did have lackluster volume on Friday. But I do think that if the market wants to go up to the 1272, this 1618 extension of 1918 in the ES, then I think I'm going to be looking for longs in those sectors. Okay, now, if the market decides to really run hard early in the morning, I'm going to look to fade that on Tuesday, okay? And look for some shorting opportunities as well. And you can short relative weakness, but that's also kind of tough right now because everything is being bought up. And remember, guys, extreme complacency, lack of volume, and of course you have the IYT really at these at these extensions here. I would be very, very cautious with the market going into next week. I would not be buying the breakout. Just use a little caution here, and I'd just like to get my thoughts out for next week, okay? Have a great weekend. Thank Yvette, and for all of those that served our country, thank you very much. We're blessed to have you. All right, have a great weekend. Enjoy the long weekend, everybody.